Hi, this is Rebecca. I blog at missmui.wordpress.com, and today I will be doing a little video sharing about my experiences learning science as a homeschooler. I'll start with my earliest memories of learning science. So I went to a preschool from about 3 to age 4, but I also spent a lot of time learning at home, and also from age about 4.5 to 6. Before going to school, I did a lot of learning at home. We didn't know what was homeschooling, and we didn't call it homeschooling then, but basically it was homeschooling. And I remember having a lot of reference books. There was a series, like a reference book series for kids called How It Works or something, that had a lot of information. We always had this library. The library had books like fiction, reference books, history, just general knowledge, and also science. So I learned a lot by reading. But yeah, and we had Seymour Skeleton. That was a very nice series. Later on we got the computer program for that, where you could actually click on different parts of the body and see different illustrations. I remember being quite into Magic School Bus. There's the very old Magic School Bus which we found at the second-hand bookstore, and there's a newer Magic School Bus, with a newer look. So we had both. And we also had the Magic School Bus computer games. Not really games, but they were quite fun as well. That was a bit later on though. I remember at about, I don't know, before I turned 7, we went to all kinds of different places. The Singapore Zoo, the Bird Park, Night Safari. Later on we went to the Singapore Science Museum, and we've also been to all the science places that are to go in KL. As homeschoolers, we have the freedom to just get in the car and go on a field trip. We went to the National History Museum, we went to Pusat Science Negara, we went to the Petronas Science Center many times, the National Astrological Museum, we went to Lake Gardens, we went to the Malaysian National Zoo, we went to A Famosa Zoo, we went to a lot of places. We were sort of learning on the move, and it wasn't just like my parents would go to those places and like read that, learn that. It would just be something we enjoy, and that we learned something as well, and we also have a good time together as a family. Oh, we also went to the National Bird Park and Deer Park quite a lot. My grandparents used to take us to the deer park to see the deer. And in Singapore, on our last trip, we were in college, but we went to the Singapore Zoo again and the night safari. And it was just like I remembered it as a child. And we've been doing all these field trips everywhere we go, ever since we were very young. That was the field trip side of things. My parents are both science graduates, engineering and life sciences respectively, so we definitely had a good background in science. Even though we've chosen of our own volition to go into communications, education, fields like that, which are more on the liberal arts, social science side of things. But I think looking back, even though I always thought I'm not a science person, we did have so many science learning experiences. So we had field trips, we had a lot of books, and I remember reading. And I was about 5 years old. I already knew how babies were made because I read it in a science book. Somehow I read it and remembered it, and my mom would make me explain it to everyone, like all friends that we met, like, oh, tell auntie how babies are made. That was interesting, because we had very all children have very absorbent minds. And in my mind at that time, all these field trips were not studying, they were fun. I was learning by enjoying things. And I think reading and having an interest in books and the world beyond is so important. We started homeschooling when I was 9. We used a computer-based curriculum and it was really fun and interesting. I remember when they taught us the word photosynthesis. I remember that word because it was so long and I liked it. I liked knowing a long word. I felt cool. We were learning, and all the things that I was learning was written in a very interesting way, one. Two, it was presented using text, pictures, quizzes and things, and all on the computer. And there would be videos. And we would have to do science experiments as well. They would provide a video and we would see how the experiment was conducted. And then we'd go and do the experiment ourselves and then we'd write a report on it. These are just some of the science kit things that we had to get as part of the curriculum. My dad went to this school supply store somewhere near Batu Caves that usually caters to schools. He took the list with him. He got everything that could be gotten that was on the list. It was really funny actually because I think they were not used to selling these things to parents. And they were quite costly. But we had this, which teaches displacement. We had a stethoscope. And all these things were required as part of experiments. It's very old. This home. We had pH paper, filter papers. People worry about not being able to do experiments and all that at home, but the truth is that you can easily get all these things and we were able to use them freely. Some of these things come from science kits that we would get for Christmas, and I tell you, there was a time when I was crazy about all the science toys that there were in Toys R Us. When I was about 11, my uncle said I could choose anything I wanted from the store, so I got a microscope. Yes, this is all that's left of my microscope, but it was so fun when I was 11. And then it came with all these little slides, like grasshopper legs, okay? And I would make my own slides out of I don't know what. I still have them here. I don't know why I kept them. This is actually a piece of my own skin. This is something from the garden. Interesting. Yeah, it was the best fun ever having a microscope. Because it takes things like your hair and stuff and look at it at maximum 750 times the magnification. We had electric science kits, and because my dad knows how to weld and solder things, we went to the hardware store, Ace Hardware. We bought these do-it-yourself kits that came with so we came home and he did most of the soldering, obviously. We just watched, but and my uncle and aunt with them. We had a lot of fun. All this was completely enjoyable, both part of the curriculum and outside the curriculum. I still think it's important to have the curriculum. I can still close my eyes and see the things that we learned in the program, in the curriculum. We learned about liquid, solid, gas, states. There was videos. We learned about chemical change and physical change, how physical. So these were all concepts, and these concepts were not only taught by word, but also taught through videos and pictures and experiments, and we had to reflect and write up reports. Yeah, so I still remember the things that I was learning from age 9 onwards, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to about 18. I remember particularly doing the celery experiment quite a lot. You take food coloring, mix it with water, put the celery in, and then the celery leaves will turn red or blue, and then when you cut it open, you could see the food coloring traveling up the celery. We did those little planting beans things too as well. Yeah, I had good memories of learning science and was thoroughly interested in the subject. We had a digital periodic table as part of the curriculum thing, so every time that a periodic thing would come out, you could click on it, look at the atomic number, atomic mass, all the info about that thing. And we also had a printable periodic table, which I thought, this was me. This was not my parents telling me to do it. I thought it was fun, so cool. I printed out a periodic table on an A4 piece of paper, colored it in, and pasted it on my wall. I was like, that's there. It's there for me to look at. It's cool. Rather than just talking, I should be showing more. So we had storybooks about like these William Price books were recommended by our friends, and they were about two brothers that would go and like for some reason they are wildlife adventurers. So I was learning a lot about the Amazon, Arctic, about Africa, about elephants, gorillas, safaris, and this one was about sea life, tigers, underwater stuff, volcano stuff. So it was fiction with science in it. Cool. The Horrible Science series is very good. I also recommend Magic School Bus. Magic School Bus is excellent. Oh, I have one here. This is a bit old. For older kids, this is a Magic School Bus kind of novel. For younger kids, you will have more of the Magic School Bus storybooks. I can still see the storybook. There was one very good one about rainbows, and the kids shrunk and they started reflecting light with prisms and things to play a pinball game to help Miss Frizzle win pinball. So it was about how light, how to reflect light, what light is, what color is, and things like that. Very enjoyable. Horrible Science, Bugs, Ugly Bugs. We got this second hand. My brother chose this book for one of his birthdays. Horrible Science Explosive Experiments. It comes in the book. It has two parts. The book goes in here, and then it comes with these cool experiment cards. Like that. Very enjoyable. And sometimes people would buy us these things for Christmas as well, like relatives, friends. There's another one. Okay, these are some science books. Science in a Bottle. Salt experiments. Science salt experiments. This one is very good. Science experiments you can eat. And I love doing science experiments in the kitchen. When I got a bit older and like had a lot of my own interests and stuff, I would be doing things like trying to make my own vinegar and make my own wine in the kitchen with some explosive results. Like I would take raisins and I'd extract the yeast from the raisins and I'd feed it until the yeast grew, and then I add Ribena to it. So the Ribena would sort of semi-ferment and become Ribena wine. This was when I was 18, so legal. I was really crazy about homesteading, so I had a lot of books, and I still have, about organic gardening. I was into herbology, like studying the properties of herbs. This book is Wacky World. Our friend got us this for Christmas. Very nice. When you see photosynthesis. So I would be reading these things and studying about it. And then when I read a science book, hey, I know this, I read about it. Well, I read it elsewhere, outside the curriculum. So learning in the curriculum really links to things outside the curriculum and links to real life and links to the experiments we're doing. Even without, you thinking, okay, this book has a bit about food chains and you're doing this lesson on food chains, so make sure you read this. My mom was never like that. This was a really, really good one. We have these books about Malaysian things, like Malaysian flowers and Malaysian fruits. Malaysian flowers, Malaysian fruits. Well, no, wait, they're both Malaysian flowers. Well, funny. Okay, we have one on fruits too. It's there on the bookshelf. I took the wrong one. One of my favorite experiments that we actually got from our homeschool curriculum, that means our homework, so-called, was the pitchfork experiment. So my dad went, and he didn't just get one pitchfork. He got a whole scale of pitchforks from C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, pitchforks. We literally, you only needed one for the experiment, but it was so cool because we had a whole scale. And you could do different things, like you put it in water and then see the water the waves in it. And I did that experiment as a music teacher with my music students. And when I was teaching in a preschool, I took this kid, I went and did the experiment with the kids, and then we made our own sound shakers. We did a whole thing in physics and sound with the nursery class. And oh, this was so fun. It was something I would have loved, would have been doing a science fair with other homeschoolers. And they do that now, and I saw pictures of it. It's so much fun. This is about different different science fair experiments, how to have a science fair booth, how to research things for a science fair. It would have been so fun. I don't think there are enough of us around that time to be able to do that. But I got to do that in college. And it was science for young children. So we did hours about the science of yeast and bread. And our team won that science fair. We got picked to go to another bigger education fair and have a booth for that. So yeah, I got that in college, but I got it. It was so fun. Right, this is another book. We had a lot of fun. We had this book, I don't know where we bought it. We did the one where you put vinegar and you soak an egg in it and the calcium dissolves, the shell dissolves, the calcium dissolves in the vinegar, and you're left with a rubber ball. Now on YouTube there are so many fun science experiments. People say homeschoolers miss out. People say homeschoolers don't have the chance to do experiments at home, and that's not true. Yes, maybe some don't, it's possible. But you just need to kind of give them the opportunities, take the initiative. I mean, you can easily go to the toy store and get some science stuff. Get kids interested in science. Give them a good, positive learning experience in science that makes them enjoy it. And give them the foundational knowledge they need to cope with everyday life and all the science that's all around us every day. So I hope this video was helpful. I think I rambled a lot and gave a lot of personal experiences, but anyway, any questions or comments, do subscribe to the YouTube channel and the blog. The blog is more about education and alternative education and homeschooling. And I'll see you soon.